What is up, my beautiful people? My name is G-Vans and welcome back to my channel. And today we're going to be talking about the new album by BTS entitled Map of the Soul 7. This album comes to us about 10 months after last year's Map of the Soul Persona, which, from my perspective, as somebody who doesn't listen to BTS and just like wouldn't listen to BTS in his like spare time whatsoever. I gotta say that one is actually like a really decent and impressive album. I actually find myself enjoying a few songs from that album, even though I don't speak Korean whatsoever. I'm gonna be honest, I'm not that big of a fan of K-pop as most people are these days, although that's probably super obvious to a lot of you because I don't look like the type of person that listens to K-pop. Although I will admit I do listen to like some Korean rap, once in a while because I gotta be honest, Korean rappers, they're pretty fucking impressive. I think they're one of the most like talented fucking rappers out there, and you know low key, they're a lot more better than most of the fucking mainstream rappers that we have like here in America, like that's just my fucking personal opinion. However, BTS is the one band that I just really got to give props to, and I think anybody in the world has to give props to, even if you're not a K-pop fan, because these guys became such a big worldwide phenomenon in such a short amount of time. Like, I don't think I've seen a single fan base in the world that are as obsessed and as dedicated fans as the BTS fans are. Like, not even the Eminem fans are as obsessed and dedicated to Eminem, and I can verify that shit because I'm one of them. I am probably the biggest fucking Eminem fan you'll ever goddamn see. And even I'm not as dedicated and fucking obsessed with Eminem's personal life and just, everything about him in general. I may go crazy when a new song drops or a new album drops or when Eminem goes on a new feature, but I'm not gonna be like, oh my god, Eminem is back. It's fucking crazy how like dedicated these people are to BTS. Here, to give you like a really good example, I went to a goddamn Target the day this new album came out just out of pure curiosity. So I went to the Target and I went to the CD section. I'm not even shitting you, every physical copy of this album was fucking gone. They had two shelves just for that like new BTS album, and like both of those shows were fucking empty the moment I walked in there. Like it hadn't even been 24 hours that this album has been fucking released. Like I just it's just fucking crazy to me how like fast these fucking guys sell out their goddamn shit. Like I don't think even Eminem can do that kind of shit. So just like every other album they drop, BTS does have a little hidden message on this album of what the overall album is about and who the album is dedicated to, which is actually found in the title itself, Map of the Soul 7, because there are 7 members of BTS. So it's an album dedicated to themselves. Pretty fucking clever. So the whole sort of overall theme of this album is BTS looking back from when they first started, in 2013. That's when they had like their first like official debut, and then now to 2020, just to see the road they traveled so far, and just sort of reminisce on everything they had to do to get to where they are now. And this time I actually did look at the English translation to every song of this album so I can like have a much more better understanding of what they're talking about, and just so I can have a better understanding of the album overall, so I can give a kind of decent review about it. So first of all, the first 5 tracks of this album are the first 5 tracks that were in the Map of the Soul Persona album, which I personally don't mind because I think I think those like first 5 tracks are actually pretty good. I mean, Boy with Love with Halsey is still like a big fucking shock to me of how like good they sound. So I'm not really like mad at that. And then you get to the 6th track, which is the Shadow Interlude, and that's when shit gets fucking intense. Most of the time BTS does make some pretty catchy music that can make anybody happy and just make anybody feel good in general, even if you don't know what they're saying. But every song in this album after the first 5 tracks are pretty much really fucking sad, and especially if you're a really dedicated BTS fan and you know like their whole backstory and just everything you need to know about BTS when they first started out. This album is most likely gonna make you cry. I would say this whole album is sort of like a big roller coaster of emotions because at some points there are a lot of sadness in this album, which then turns to happiness and uplifting songs. And then there are times where they express like fears that they have, and then like all of a sudden the fears turn into gratitude of this new life and new career that they like have because of their fans and because of each other. And then there are moments where they have like doubts if mu- if music will be able to like give them the same salvation that they had like as kids. And then all of a sudden that doubt turns into like BTS pretty much like finally finding themselves and finally like accepting the destiny that they have now, and being okay with everything that's going on in their lives right now. Pretty much I would say songs like Louder Than Bulletproof and 0 o'clock and We Are Bulletproof are some of the big like highlights of this album, because I would say that almost every song in this album, they weren't trying to like just make catchy songs, even though there are a lot of catchy songs on this album that I really enjoyed. But I feel like they were just like mostly like trying to spread a message. Like for example, We Are Bulletproof is pretty self-explanatory right there. That one is pretty much saying, yeah, there are times where they like fall apart sometimes, and there are certain stuff in their like personal lives that may prevent them from like being happy, and like dedicate all their time to like their like whole like band and just their whole fan base in general and their music in general. But no matter how many times they fall, no matter how many times they fall apart, no matter how many times it may seem that it might be the end for them, they will always get back up, because together they are bulletproof. And in a way they're also kind of saying that they used to only just be seven of them, because yeah, there are only seven members of BTS. And when they first started out, it seemed like all they had was each other. But but one line in this album that really like gives me the chills a lot and like sort of like makes me happy is when they said, we were seven, but now we're not seven with all of you. Pretty much like yeah, it's an album dedicated to themselves, but it's also an album dedicated to their fans as well. And that line right there just really like shows their appreciation for their fans, and that they actually do give a shit about their fans on. And it's pretty like inspiring to see that, because I feel like most like mainstream artists out here don't really like give two fucks about their fans. I feel like a lot of artists out here always like tend to forget that you know they really aren't shit without their fans. So I really do appreciate that about a BTS in this album. There are honestly many reasons of why people do love BTS over any other mainstream artist, because number one, they're really really good performers. If you guys can ever take the chance to see a live performance by BTS, I definitely recommend it, because these guys are pretty impressive performance. And number two, to a lot of the girls out there, maybe a few guys, these guys are like super good looking to them. And number three, they just seem like super genuine. You feel me? Like they seem like the fucking nicest people in the world. Like you really can't find any reason of like to hate them, other than the fact that you just don't like K-pop in general. That's fine. But you really like can't find any reason of why you would like hate each member of BTS in general. However, I will say that one reason that I think a lot of people do love BTS is because their music is a lot more fucking different than most like mainstream artists from here, and just most K-pop artists in general. There's a song on this album entitled Respect, which is pretty much them saying how we don't truly know the like true meaning behind that word, and like we don't really know what it means to be a respectful person in general, but that they also find it funny and a bit hypocritical that we like use this word so much, like it's our favorite word in the world, even though we don't truly know the meaning behind it, and how we truly like don't give two shits, of trying to figure out like the true meaning of what it's like to be a respectful person. That's something that you don't really see in a lot of like mainstream songs. That is something that you will only see in a fucking BTS album, and I fucking love it. I'm fucking here for it. And not to mention, BTS does work with a few mainstream artists that we have in America today, and just somehow find a way to make their voices go so well together. Like, of course, we have that song with Halsey on this album called Boy With Love, which that was personally my favorite song from the Persona album. But we do have a little like bonus track with Sia on this album called On, and that one is actually pretty good. Even though Sia isn't like a big part of that song. She still sounds pretty fucking good on that. So that's another reason of why I think a lot of people do love BTS. I apologize in advance if I'm not pronouncing these names right, but the vocals from V, Jungkook, Jimin, and Jin are really fucking good. I thought they were super impressive back in the Persona album, but I think they improved a lot for this specific album because it just they've obviously done like a lot of experimenting to their voices, trying to do different styles for each songs. Like each like song that they're in on this album sounds way more different than the other one, and that's what I really fucking love. So yeah, their vocals are really fucking good. And finally, the biggest highlight on this album that made it so much enjoyable for me is when Suga, J-Hope, and RM got together and fucking went hard. Like, there is one song specifically that I will put at the end of this video where they fucking like just go fucking all in and go fucking hard together, kind of making like a fucking trap sort of like vibe. And just in general, those three are like such fucking talented rappers, and they like find a way to bring a whole new different sound to hip-hop that even I have never heard before. So like, shout out to Suga, RM, and J-Hope. Those guys are mad fucking talented, and I just like I just can't believe how fucking great they are, when they're on a song together. Overall, I highly recommend this album to obviously all the BTS fans out there and everybody who's a big K-pop fan. And just if you don't listen to K-pop or BTS in general, I do really recommend this album to you. I do recommend that you obviously read the English translation as the songs go by, because honestly, they have some really good like messages to this album that I think anyone could enjoy. This album was requested by my very good friend Chelsea. Shout out to you, Chelsea. This is the second BTS album that you asked me to listen and talk about, and I just really appreciate it. You're like low-key turning me into a fan. Not totally, but it's low-key getting there. That is right, guys. The special request videos are finally back. This is the first request that I got this year, so yeah, get excited for that. I know I've been kind of slacking last year because towards the end of the year I kind of stopped doing these videos because I was just going crazy with life and whatnot, and I like didn't really have a really like consistent schedule of when I would upload videos. But I'm hoping to be a lot more better at it this year. So yeah, get excited for that. Let me know in the comments down below, what album you would like me to talk about. It can be any artist, any genre, and it could be from any era. I don't care. I will listen to it and I will give you my honest opinion on it. And with that being said, don't forget to like, subscribe, click that bell down below, all that good stuff so you don't miss a single one of my uploads whatsoever. And don't forget to stay happy. 타오르는 저 불씨 기름이 닥쳐오르 먼저 집을 삼킨 내 백신 휩쓸려가고 지금 오늘의 상수